Hello and welcome to Hanamate. If you like houseplants, you are in the right place. This is my very old African violet. I have it for about 13 years and it was 25 when it was given to me. That's the beautiful flower and I want to show you how I propagate it. So there are a few different methods how to propagate African violet. You can either root it in water or you can use rooting hormone or wish for good luck. I don't know, there may be more. Um, I like to plant my African violets in clay pots. I believe that clay is amazing natural material that soaks in extra moisture and also gives it away gives it to the plant basically when needed. The basic for planting is that either you use container with hole on the bottom or one without a hole. I always prefer drainage because that just basically gives you more freedom and room for mistake, right? If you overwater, you don't want the plant to drown the roots of it. And you can insert that container in meaning the flower pot with a hole into bigger container, or you can just put it in a bowl, some kind of dish, ceramic bowl, glass bowl, whatever bowl you want. The other thing about clay containers is that some of them are glazed, some of them are not. So if the bottom bowl is not glazed, the moisture will go through it and will ruin your furniture. So just be aware of it. So I planted few of the African violets or the leaves that will be eventually African violet into separate little pots. And then I mix in the large pot soil, perlite, and some water. And I'm planting them all in one large flower pot with the intentions that I will eventually separate it if I remember. Anyhow, that's it. That's how simple it is. African violets are amazing tropical plant. They don't like drought. They like good drainage. They love some soil and sun, of course. I don't use Miracle-Gro or any type of food, but I do, I guess, transplant my plants at least every year or 2 years. This is the mother plant, or grandmother at this point. It made so many babies, probably 10 a year. And this is the large flower pot that I put the violets in after about months or maybe 5 weeks. And here you can see little baby leaves growing. So that's the new, already established African violet plant. This is after another month, and you can see the biggest one on the right side is the what seems like the oldest plant, but it just kind of kicked in the fastest. I don't turn them around too much in my location, meaning turn around the whole pot to kind of grow evenly, symmetrically, right? So the sun is probably helping it to grow well. Here is basically how I am. This is the old mother and I'm showing you what I do. So I basically really cut off piece of leaf and I put it in the water. Or you can use the rooting hormone. But don't do what I just showed you. Mistake. You always pour the rooting hormone. It's very thick, right? Into maybe a little container or even a spoon. And then you dip the leaf in it. You don't want to introduce any bacteria into the container itself. And then I do the same method I did on the beginning of the video. I basically put little pebbles on the bottom for that assures better drainage, but also the water doesn't leave as fast, right? You can use just one rock on the hole. You can use few of them. I'm lazy, so I just get a handful and put it in. The shredded clay pot pieces actually work well. So if you ever have a pottery or clay container flower pot that broke, you can smash it with hammer in a cloth, and so you don't get blind, right? You just wrap it in a cloth, smash it with hammer, and then you have little pieces that you can actually use on the bottom of the flower pot instead of the pebbles. And once again, I do think it's great recycling, upcycling rather, but also it kind of assures that the moisture stays within the pot, but water is drained. I hope that makes sense. So this is my super easy method. I think I'm much better with my hands than my words, and you can see what I'm doing. So I always put pebbles on the bottom of the flower pot, then a little bit of soil, and then with kind of somewhat sharp little hand shovel I pull the young plant and I put it in. I always squeeze it on all sides and then I add more soil. Don't worry if you get your flower pot dirty, you can easily wash it off afterwards. That's another advantage of having a good drainage. Look, there's extra baby there. So even though the plant is so young, 4 months maybe, it is already growing extra plants right next to it. Do you see how I'm squeezing it? Don't be afraid. Roots, even if you kind of break a few of them, they will bounce back. So this is the original leaf, and I'm going to put it in the water again, and it will grow new roots. So basically it's perpetuum mobile, never ending leaf that keeps giving and giving and giving. This is the biggest plant from that one pot, and that's the one that had the first leaves. So I don't like really telling you how fast it grows because it depends on so many conditions, from the sunny location, amount of water, nutrients, quality of the soil, and how nicely you talk to your plants. I'm joking, but not really, talking to plants is very good. Anyhow, this is the whole process, and I didn't want to tell you exact dates because if you have good sunny location and you get 6 hours of sun, they will grow much faster. If your house is, I don't know, 68, 72 degrees, your plant will grow much faster. If you add Miracle Grow or whatever fertilizers, your plants will grow faster, right? But I'm kind of just giving you roughly some kind of timeline that the rooting and takes at least 1 month, and then when you propagate it, the leaves take probably 2 months to kick in, and you should have a flower at least within a year. If you get lucky, 6 months. So that's about it. I really enjoy houseplants, having them in the house. They make me happy, they cheer me up. Many of them give more benefits than we give them credit for, from purifying the air to adding moisture. And I do think that especially now in wintertime, they do make us super happy. So having a house plants in the house is a good thing. I don't have that many sunny spots, and most of my plants are on that one table that you saw and on windowsills. I love windowsills, and it's just easy to take care of the plants. Usually we have heater underneath and there's plenty of sun for at least 4 hours a day. The other trick I would like to tell you about is that there are different sizes of containers and flower pots, right? So I do like 4 or 5 inch the most. It's the most popular um, size in my house. So now I'm propagating properly, right? I put it with the rooting hormone, so I put it in a container, and then make sure you poke a hole in the soil first, and then you put the leaf in. You shouldn't be poking hole with the stem, right? First of all, the rooting hormone will kind of wash up to the top, and you may break the leaf itself. By the way, if you don't have rooting hormone on hand, you can always propagate in water and then dip it in rooting hormone and it'll do fine. This plant, by the way, is Thanksgiving or Christmas cactus, I don't remember which one, and I am propagating it in water and with the rooting hormone, and it will grow quite well. I prefer if they are thick rather than long. So I think I shared all my wisdom or everything I learned from my mother. I am super excited and I am having great time with this. It feels really nice to have at least a few real house plants in the house. There are many benefits for us as humans to see nature in the house. And since I think that plants are beneficial for us, it is really nice gift to give somebody a house plant. I do like propagating my plants usually in the spring, and then I give them away. As I mentioned, this African violet had many babies, at least 10 a year. I makes me happy to propagate them and share them. So here is the kind of final product, I guess. So once you have the plant, or African violet in this case, in a smaller container, you can either use plastic one or clay, as I did. Then you can put them in larger kind of ornamental containers, right? Either ceramic or pottery or whatever you have. Cups are actually pretty good for plants as well. So this is what I wanted to share with you. That's the biggest one. So you see that's a huge difference how this one grew. I think it's because it was closest to the window and got the most light. And this is the old leaf. I think if I keep it, it will actually grow as well, and eventually you wouldn't even know which one was first. But I cut them off and I use them again. So thank you so much for watching Handmade. I will try to make more videos about houseplants. But thank you for watching Handmade and Merry Christmas.